Today, Baba is underlining that every Baba's child should follow the directions that Shiv Baba gives through his instrument, and we would be able to have that much of regard for the directions that Baba gives through the instrument if we understand that these are Shiv Baba's directions. And Baba says that when somebody doesn't follow directions, then it is a sign of arrogance. And if you see closely, I'm not talking about if you leave aside, this ability to follow Baba's directions also. But just ask yourself, do I have the ability to follow directions? And if one doesn't have the ability to follow directions, if you're directed to do one thing, whether you're in office or as a Lokik child also, if you're asked to do one thing and you do the other thing, and sometimes you feel that you can't do it. Sometimes, because you see, ego has a very clever way of convincing you that it's not like you don't want to do it, but you can't do it. Your circumstances are such. But just ask yourself, do you follow directions? So you see, if you are working and you are asked to report at 9 a.m., then are you able to go and report at 9 a.m.? Or is there always a reason why you reach at 9:30? And then if you are working, if you're cooking and if you're asked to, there are sometimes you're cooking on your own, but then sometimes, somebody is directing you. Then if they are saying you put half a glass of water, do you end up putting 1/4? And then saying that, it was a mistake. So, and it is very, very subtle. And Maya is very clever. But the inability to follow directions is a sign of ego. And I have felt that, sometimes it would, and when there is ego, you can never have a good relationship. Ego comes in the way of good relationships. There is no trust. You cannot build a relationship if there is so much ego. And then what happens is people give up on you. So they say you're a good person, but then you will do everything according to yourself. So they stop telling you anything. They give up on you. And those are the best kinds of people. Some people will come after you and they'll try to, teach you a lesson and stuff. I'm not talking about those people, but even people who are around you, who are good people, they will give up on you because they understand that the soul is not going to follow any directions. Now, having said that, In the Lokik world, I don't think that every value, because this is a value, this is not a virtue. So, do you understand the difference between values and virtues? So, virtues are be peaceful, be loveful, be pure, be powerful. That is a virtue. But these are values. So, in the Lokik world, you cannot always say that following values is a good idea. Because in the Lokik world, if you, so the thing is, why we stop following directions in the Lokik world is because we understand that somebody who is directing me is doing it from their place of selfish interest, or somebody is vicious and then they are giving me directions, and then it's not for my benefit, or it's not, so sometimes I am bearing the brunt of following a direction. So it all comes like that. So that's how you create this sanskar of not following a direction. So because in the 63 births of our journey, we have relationships with vicious souls, and then you understand that when you followed a direction, it didn't turn out fine and the result was not good, then you create this sanskar. Now you see, when we come to Baba, we bring a lot of sanskars with us, and those sanskars are not unjustified. You know, those sanskars have a reason, and they were created because in this 63 births of my journey, I had very good reason to create that sanskar. So whether it is being defensive, whether it is not following directions, not doing as anyone says, but always thinking what I think is right and doing it, even if, you know, sometimes I don't get the result, but I feel it's a better idea to just follow my own, instinct, or my own mat, or my own dictate. And that looks like a good idea because we have borne the brunt of it. But when we come to Baba, it is very necessary that we again go back to, ego has many faces, and not the ability to not follow directions is a sign of ego. But then ego is what we develop, right? Ego is I'm right and you are always wrong. So I don't have the judgment to always check whether somebody is right or wrong. So what I do is I say I'm always right. And then I don't even take the time to check whether somebody is right or not. So so there is no surrender, there is complete ego, and ego is, so we are on this spiritual journey where it is not easy to, so it is natural and it is in the drama that we will develop this ego. But then when we come to Baba, this is the time to create new sanskars. And surrender and the ability to follow directions is a sign of a Satyugi sanskar. So just think about if in Satyug everybody did their own thing and nobody followed direction, then how would Satyug be? So you see, the Praja and everybody, they follow complete direction, and they treat the king and the queen like parents. But if today I don't have the sanskar to follow directions or to surrender, then how will I go to Satyug? And that is why, you know, all our imperfect sanskars are created when we engage with souls who are not perfect, right? But then in Sangam Yug, we get Baba. and Baba is perfect. And then when we come to Baba, it is time to look into, okay, I created this sanskar because of my journey of 63 births, but now I am with Baba and I do not need to use any ego mechanism. I need to develop trust. So, all the development of sanskars happens in Sangam Yuga because we have lost all our powerful, pure sanskars. And then this is the time to develop all good sanskars in this relationship with Baba, who is the perfect one. And Baba has guaranteed us that you will never be in loss if you follow my directions. Baba has said, Nishche Buddhi Vijayanti. If you have faith, you will be victorious. It may take some time. Victory is a very long-term thing. But then you must know that it is God's promise that if you follow my directions, you will never be in loss. श्रीमत पर चलने वाले का कभी नुकसान नहीं होता. This is something I have to hold in my awareness. And I have to know that I have to do whatever Baba says the way he says it. And I do not have to use my own buddhi in it. I feel I can do this much. I can feel, this is right for me. Not all that Baba says. And you see, every direction Baba gives in the Murli, but not every child understands the Murli and not every child reads the Murli. All the Murlis you don't remember and all the directions you don't remember. So then you have a nimit also. And then when you have a particular concern, what should I do in this situation? Then that nimit will tell you that you do this or you do that. And then you have to trust that they are not telling you anything from their own mind. They are telling you what Shiv Baba has told. And sooner or later you will hear it in the Murli also. But even if you are not able to identify it at that moment, see, if you go and ask a nimit about something, then obviously you have that kind of trust, right? If you don't have trust, why would you go and ask? And if you've asked and there is that trust, then you follow the direction. And you hold it in your awareness that this is Shiv Baba's direction. Because you don't have any personal relationship with the nimit, do you? It's a relationship through Shiv Baba. So you know that they are telling you what Shiv Baba tells you to do. Why else would they give you any direction? So when you have that kind of surrender and you do as Baba says, and then you see your nimit will give you many directions depending on the need of seva or the need of, the yagya, or then when they observe your purshad, they will give you certain directions on their own also. And then those directions have to be followed. And you have to understand that these are not directions that a human being is giving you. These are directions that Shiv Baba's instrument is giving you. And these are directions from Shiv Baba. This is an account between you and Shiv Baba. When you follow that direction or not follow that direction. So Baba says that hold this in your awareness and follow directions. And the most important benefit of this is that you become egoless. And you become So this surrender is very important for your personality development, because when, and Baba says maybe, Baba also says that maybe if I give a direction through a sakar instrument, maybe the result is not right. You may have a situation like that. But then Baba says, I take the responsibility of that. It is not on you that you check whether the direction is right or not. You've been given a direction, you follow that, and the responsibility is on Shiv Baba. And the most perfect instrument that Baba has is Brahma Baba. So, and Brahma Baba speaks the Murli through, Shiv Baba speaks the Murli through Brahma Baba. So then every word of the Murli, I have to understand that this is Shiv Baba's direction, and I don't not follow any of it. And when you have this kind of an obedience, it creates many virtues in you. This one value that I have to follow directions, this will create many virtues, whether it is obedience, whether it is surrender, whether it is being egoless, whether it is having that humility. It will create a lot of virtues in you. And it will also create a relationship with Baba. Because, in a relationship, although, in Lokik relationships these days, everybody says, always remember you're on your own and you'd have to worry all the time for yourself, because that's the nature of the souls we are with, right? But in this relationship with Baba, you don't have to be wary all the time. You have to just surrender. And this is, and the most beautiful relationship is when you can surrender. There is nothing more beautiful in a relationship than surrender. Yes, everybody wants, everybody's heart's desire is to have a relationship where they can totally surrender. And it's the most beautiful thing to have is, you don't have to knack your brain, just do as you're asked to do. And it's so difficult, when you have to just keep thinking on your own and taking responsibility on your own. And if there is this relationship where you surrender and the other one takes all the responsibility, there is so much of, peace and happiness and beauty in that relationship. And that relationship is possible in Sangam Yuga with Baba. That relationship is not possible anywhere in the world. I'll tell you, there was this one Mata and she came to the center and she was crying so badly that, even I'm mostly detached, but I felt that wave of, how badly she was crying. And then I asked her what happened, and then she said, I used to work in an MNC, and when I got married, my husband said that I earn well, you don't have to worry about money or work or anything, just take care of the house. And Didi, from that day onwards, I never thought about my identity, my money, nothing. I just surrendered. And I have two girls and two daughters I had, and I was just taking care of the household, my daughters, my family. I never looked outside the house. And then yesterday my husband came and he said, I'm in love with someone else and you leave the house. And he said, I don't know what you want to do with these two daughters, and whatever you want to do, kill them, burn them, I don't care, just leave the house. And she said, day before yesterday everything was fine, and yesterday everything changed, and now I don't know how to earn, I don't know how to raise my daughters, I don't know anything now, Didi. So you see, if you totally surrender to a human being, it backfires. So, but, and that's why, we have the sanskar: be on your toes all the time, keep vigilance, don't have 100% trust, this, that. And that is not, if you look at the worldly wisdom, that's not a bad idea. But then now we have to change from Kalyug to Satyug. So yes, Kalyug demands these things. But then what about our onward journey? So we have to go to Satyug. So that's why we have to, we have to balance this Lokik Alokik now. And in the Lokik, yes, we are living with some worldly wisdom and stuff and all. But with Baba, you surrender fully. And then you create this sanskar that of total surrender and the virtues that come with it. And overcome your ego, because ego is very burdensome. If you are always, there's a picture of ego which I like very much, that there's a big head, and that head is on a cart, and the person is carrying his own head all day. So ego signifies that big head, which the burden of which you are carrying all day. And ego is very burdensome. So if you are always doing, I feel this is right, I want to do this, I don't want to do what the other person said, it's very burdensome. It's not a good life. So that state of freedom, or that state of surrender, and feeling that Baba is taking the responsibility and I'm just following directions, you want to live that life, and that is only possible when you follow every direction and know that Shiv Baba is giving the direction through the instrument in the Murli and through the Sakar instrument also. And you see, we don't do that. We are not surrendered. Because you see, Baba will tell you to wake up at a certain time, you're getting up at a certain time. Baba says complete purity, but do we observe complete purity, body, mind, wealth? Not so. Or Baba would say, write a chart, and the ego will say, I can't write a chart, or my chart is not good, or I'm afraid what would the other person think, or stuff. And then Baba will, so these are even basic whatever dharanas Baba gives us. Then you put your own buddhi in it, and then you can't take the full benefit of it. Yes. And I remember there was this, I was giving you an example of cooking, because I remember there was this one sister, and she was living with another sister, and that sister who she joined was a very good, she had very good culinary skills, and she made really good Brahma Bhojan, and she had a lot of understanding of how this should be made and that should be made. But this sister, she lived with the other sister for 10 years but never learned anything. Because she would say, wash these things 2 times, and she would wash it 4 times, because then she would say, no, I felt it was dirty, so I washed it. And then, put this much water, she would put another kind of, because I felt, I thought I felt, I thought I felt. And it was always like that. And even after 10 years, she couldn't make a good halwa because she couldn't get rid of that ego that, I thought like this, I felt it should be. Now, you are not the expert. The expert is giving you directions, but you are not listening to the expert. And you have seen the results so many times, but still, this ego that I am right and I want to do it my way is so profound that you see, you will do it your way only. If you are doing it, it's your way. But if you want to learn how to do it, you have to surrender. I once told her, if you are doing it, it's your way only. It's your, it's your creation. But in order to your creation to be perfect, you have to learn. And if you keep knacking your brain the other way around, then it's not going to help, dear sister. But then, ego is very difficult to fathom and overcome. It's very difficult. And then you have good wishes. Okay, fine. If this is it, this is it. But this is how ego functions. So Baba says that with Baba, you change this sanskar. And whatever Baba says, the way Baba says, yes, don't say, I think I'm not capable of doing it. If you were not capable of doing this, Baba wouldn't say it to you. There's one brother, and he lives in a cold country. And he told me, it's very difficult for children to wake up at Amrit Vela in cold countries. So I said, yeah, but Baba didn't say so. Baba didn't say, don't have this line in the Murli when it is recited in a cold country. So Baba knows that this is applicable for you too. And you don't have to think that you are an exception. So Baba is talking to you, the soul, and you are a soul, and whatever Baba says, you are capable of doing. And doing it exactly to the T as Baba says it. And if you were not that person, you wouldn't be listening to that Murli. So just think about it and do as Baba says. And I will tell you one thing. There was this one Mata, and personal directions I'm talking about. There was this one Mata, and she was having this company of another Mata, and that Mata was into a lot of waste thinking, gossip, stuff. So then once I told that Mata, when you go back home from the center, don't go with anybody. I didn't say this Mata or that Mata. I said, you come alone, you go alone. Don't keep talking to anybody and going, what do you discuss? What is the point? No problem. No, you come alone, you go alone. You are here to study, you study and go. And then she didn't listen. And then, that Mata, in that company, she lost all her zeal and enthusiasm. And because if you keep listening to wrong stuff, then it will influence you. Kusang, Baba says kusang is, and you don't understand kusang, but even when you're pointed out, if you don't understand that there is a reason why Didi is opening her mouth and saying something. We would never open our mouth and say something if it was not important. So she didn't pay heed to it, and today both the Matas are not in Gyan. And they're not in Gyan is one thing, but they're not at peace also. And lot of turmoil and lot of other stuff. So one has to be very careful, because you see, we are all children of Baba. Nobody will hold our hand and always pull us and push us. That's not going to happen. So that regard has to be there. When we were growing up, our parents, my parents have never shouted at me. The only way they told me this is what we like and this is what we not like is through their eyes. I could see it in my father's eyes if he disapproved of something. And I stopped then and there. We called it aankhon ki sharam. So you should have that. If you can't understand, so if somebody, and of course, these days, even if you don't have that kind of understanding, you're given some direction. But if you're not paying heed to that also, then how will you recover from Maya's attack? And all this is ego, and ego is Maya's biggest instrument. I know better, I know what is good for me, I know right and wrong. No, but Baba knows better. Baba always knows better. And Baba touches the intellect of the instrument to tell you. I'll tell you about this being an instrument. We never think about Baba's children. Like I don't sit and think about every child, right? Only when we give Mansa Seva, that time we do. But otherwise, it's not like you personally pull up somebody in your buddhi and start thinking about that. That doesn't happen. But sometimes you have a touching that, this child has to be given this direction. And then you give it. Or there's a touching that asks this child if that child is fine or not. Because we remember Baba, we don't remember children. But if there is a direction given, and general directions also, if you're asked to attend a bhatti or do stuff, then all these arrangements, or attend the quiz or attend other programs, then all that is done to elevate you. So pay very good attention to that, and this is the only method to rise above your weak sanskars, and it is only in Sangam Yuga, in relationship with Baba, that sanskar transformation can take place. Because although I will tell you one thing, although these days it's all about learning from Baba and applying it in Lokik, but with Lokik you have to take a pinch of salt. It's not, Baba says, always be very sweet. So you apply it to the Brahmin family first. In the Lokik, sometimes you will have to be stern also. When you're dealing with souls who are in, with vices and all, so Baba says, don't have physical boundaries, have spiritual boundaries. But then in Lokik, you need physical boundaries also. Maybe sometime you will need to stop your communication with someone. That will also happen. So when Baba gives you a teaching, the first place where you apply it is with Baba and with the Brahmin family. And then you will have that sanskar, and you will not be, physical boundaries means, Baba says, kinara mat karo, na? Baba says, don't avoid anyone, don't. But sometimes in the Lokik world with vicious souls, you need to do that also. It's not like never do that. Of course, we don't block anybody or we don't do that kind of stuff. But yes, if somebody is calling you 10 times a day, you don't pick the phone. We do that. Why? Because That's important sometimes with vicious souls. And Baba says that, but how do you create the sanskar of always picking the phone? With Baba, with the Brahmin family. And then when you are not under the control of your sanskar, because you see, there is an impure sanskar, and the impure sanskar gives you certain logic. So let's say it's my sanskar to avoid people. Then my sanskar will give a logic that this person is too much piling on me. But if you're not under the control of that sanskar, you are a soul who is loveful, then you will exactly know where to set the boundary. You're not doing it because that sanskar is compelling you. You're not an avoider. You know, in this place, I have to do this. Set the boundary. So Baba says, take all my teachings and first apply it with me and the Brahmin family. And then with the Laukik, you will have the discernment how to do, what to do. Yes, honesty. Baba teaches honesty. So honesty with Baba. And then can you be honest with every person on the planet? That's not happening. So how do you develop that sanskar of honesty with Baba? And with everybody else, you should know how much to share. Oversharing is not right. Nobody is encouraging oversharing. There is a reason why oversharing is called oversharing. It's not honesty. So that's why whatever Baba tells us to do is to create Satyugi Sanskar, and that will happen when I do it in this relationship with Baba and the Nimit. Okay, Om Shanti.